All right, we're back with another pick'em video. It is Monday, January 26th in the NBA. We got a 7-game slate in this one. I got some plays that I'm liking, so that's what we're going to run through today. But first, got to start off with a recap of yesterday's video picks. Then we're going to go through the games today, who's playing, who's starting back-to-back, project the minutes, and then we'll break down those plays that I'm actually going to ride with myself. Also, last day for the $100 giveaway. So if you haven't heard about that, read the description of this video. You'll see how to enter. All you got to do, sign up for Pikkit using my code RichPicks. Pikkit is a free bet tracker for you guys to use. You just go in, sign up using my code RichPicks, sync your first sportsbook, and then voila. It's, again, a free app for you guys to be able to track all your plays, winning or losing plays. And it works with DFS platforms like PrizePicks and Underdog and things like that. That's what I use it mostly for, to be totally honest. And once you do sign up for Pikkit, again, very seamless, very easy. Go down below in the comment section and just comment your Pikkit username. You can comment other things, but just at one point, include your Pikkit username in parentheses or something, just so I can track it for the giveaway. So that's what we got going on today. Let's start with the recap of yesterday's video picks. And it was a losing day, but honestly, not as bad as it looks. We did go down 2 units, which I never like to see. But we lost on the hook on Isaiah Joe. He had 10 points. He had 2 threes on both of those. And again, this is 0.5 unit plays, so we only lost 1 unit on Isaiah Joe. And then Grayson Allen, we also lost, but he shot 11 threes. And I went back and looked at the games. He shot 10 plus threes over the past couple years. This is the past 3 years of when Grayson Allen shoots 10 plus threes in games. He is absolutely, he's averaging 6 3-pointers made in those games. He's only gone under this twice before last game, which he had 1. Again, 1 for 11. So the read was there. I mean, if he's going to shoot 10 plus threes, if we don't go to the top end of this, 10 to 14 threes over this in 84% of games, 2 of them hooking. And then, of course, yesterday's game against the Heat. So the read was there. Sometimes that's going to happen. I don't like the result, but it was a good read at the end of the day, I think, especially for the plus 124 action we got there. You just couldn't put the ball in the basket. The volume was there. The shots were there. Just couldn't put them down. So we're going to bounce back here. Not the worst thing in the world. We didn't go 4-0. We went 2-0 or 0-2, whatever it is. So liking the slate today. Let's get into some action. But first, we got to look at who's playing and what the minute situations look like. So looking at RotoWire, we got the minutes, the projections, the injuries. That's the whole point of this section of the video. Bennedict Mathurin potentially returning today. He is questionable as of right now. This is a 5.5 point spread in favor of Atlanta. We still got no Porzingis. We still got no Reese Shea. So guys like Dyson Daniels have been getting a little bit more usage. But really, Jalen Johnson has started to cook back up. He had a rough drought there pretty much right when the Trae Young trade happened. But he has kind of picked up recently. He's kind of going back to those triple-double potentials that we saw a whole lot of. So here's the projected minutes for the Hawks as of right now. CJ going to play a decent amount off the bench. They're going to run their main guys. Again, 5.5 point spread. I think this is a good spot to look at Atlanta, honestly. Indiana not impressed me too much, especially, if Bennedict Mathurin comes back. That doesn't really sway it for me too much. They're still going to be playing Siakam a whole bunch, Nembhard, Nesmith. Jay Huff can definitely shoot himself into good spots. But yeah, this is a spot that Jalen Johnson's starting to cook back up. That's the guy I probably want to look at. We've gone to Dyson Daniels. We've gone to Onyeka Okongwu. We've not touched Jalen Johnson in a while. And I think it's probably a spot to look at some of his lines and just kind of see where they're at. Philadelphia and Charlotte. This game's at 3 p.m. Eastern time. No Embiid, no Paul George. So obviously we want to see what happens without those guys. Tyrese, VJ, Kelly Oubre. All going to get the bulk of the minutes here. We know Andre Drummond can get stats in a hurry. Quentin Grimes is a guy that can score very quickly as well if he's going to get the extra time. So just want to look at the bench players, but even guys like that are starting, VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, and Kelly Oubre. Yeah, that would be the 2 guys I'd look at because without these guys in the court, they're getting the biggest usage boost. But even a guy like VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese is going to kind of do his thing. Just look at games without Embiid and without Paul George and kind of see where his shot volume is, if he's a passing more, whatever it might be. Brandon Miller and the Hornets. We got Con Knippel, Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, Diabate, all starters that we've seen a million times before. Sexton is probable, so it's good to see him in the lineup as of right now, projected for 18 minutes. But yeah, Diabate and Kalkbrenner, they're going to be kind of splitting minutes sometimes. Don't be surprised if Kalkbrenner comes in there and plays more minutes than Diabate. It's just going to be what their need is, defensive or offensive. Then we got Orlando and Cleveland. This is a 7 o'clock Eastern time game. 5.5 point spread in favor of Cleveland, who's home. These guys did just play in Orlando as well. But we're going to get no Franz Wagner for the Orlando Magic once again. A guy that I wanted to look at last game was Anthony Black. He's going to be getting the biggest boost with that guy like Franz Wagner out of the lineup from his typical lines. But Desmond Bane also getting a little boost. Paolo obviously has to do a little bit more there too. If you go here and look at on-off court stats, you see Anthony Black in almost 900 minutes, Desmond Bane with almost 900 minutes. They're getting kind of the biggest boost without a guy like Franz. But even these guys, Wendell, Paolo, are also getting a little bit of a usage bump there too. So guys you probably want to look at without Franz in the lineup in a matchup here against Cleveland. That probably stays a little bit closer than the last game. Then we got DeAndre Hunter, questionable. Sam Merrill, questionable. But Darius Garland's still going to be out for this team for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jalen Tyson's been the guy we've been looking at continuously without Darius Garland in the lineup, but also without Sam Merrill in the lineup. But regardless, Tyson has been pretty good. We went to his rebounds the other day. He cashed for us. His points line is kind of been very consistently around 14.5, 15.5, and he continues to do pretty well in terms of scoring too. But here's the projected minutes for them. Again, I'd want to know if Sam Merrill, DeAndre Hunter are playing or not, and that would be when I would attack a guy like Jalen Tyson or something, but we'll see what happens there. Then we got Portland and Boston. This one's going to be in Boston, 8-point spread in favor of the home team. Bunch of injuries for the Portland Trailblazers. Drew Holiday going to be coming to play in the Garden. That's always fun to see, a returner. Jeremy Grant off the bench. Shaedon Sharp's going to get a whole lot of shots he can handle. But again, the biggest question mark here, you got to look at the injury news. Denny Advia, questionable. If he's going to play or not, that's going to be a big change in the offensive scheme here for a lot of teams. Obviously the team that he's on, but he is the focal point of this offense. I want to know if he's playing or not. Celtics side of things, I think they need a win. They come off a double overtime win in Brooklyn. Then they lose to the Bulls. I think this is a spot, with a bunch of injuries to the Portland Trailblazers, especially if Denny's not going to play, that they come and smack this team around a little bit. So I'd be weary of a blowout situation just because I know this team very well. But Jaylen Brown continues to cook. Derek White, he's a hard guy to trust this year in terms of betting, to be totally honest. But yeah, I'd probably be looking at a bench guy like Simons or a Jordan Walsh or someone to get more minutes. Hugo Gonzalez. I just think that it sounds like a blowout waiting to happen to me, and I wouldn't mind that as a fan. Lakers and the Chicago Bulls. We got Austin Reeves still out. He should be returning eventually, but this is the projected minutes for them. Luka, LeBron, Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, DeAndre, and we've seen this a bunch of times before. We'll see if Jake LaRavia plays or not. Chicago, we got Trey Jones and Zach Collins are going to be questionable and doubtful, or I guess out and doubtful, so both those guys are probably not going to be in there. But we know the Bulls have got just Josh Giddey back. Good to see him starting to get minutes once again. And again, he's the main focal point of this offense. It's finally good to see the Bulls relatively healthy here. Then we got Memphis and Houston, a bunch of injuries. No Ja Morant, no Ty Jerome still, no Zach Edey still. Let's look at the projected minutes for this team. Jalen Wells is a guy I've looked at. I'm very interested in looking at him here again, but this is a 10.5-point spread and a much harder matchup than when we attacked this team last time. So you got to, be wary of a massive blowout here, just because this team is not looking too great with all their injuries. Jaren Jackson, he's the biggest guy that's going to miss minutes in terms of a blowout situation. Look at guys like Jalen Wells, cut Cedric Coward to play more in those spots. And then a guy like Jacques Landale will just kind of hold it down. And I feel like he'll have a good game regardless of what happens here. But just a difficult matchup to attack this Memphis team where you typically think, oh, this is a good spot to go to them with all the injuries. I could find some on-off court stats where guys are getting huge boosts like a Jacques Landale, but just a hard spot to do it. Houston, they got Steven Adams still out. We've seen this a bunch of times before. Guys like Sengun playing really well. Kevin Durant's kind of been in his bag recently. Amin Thompson's going to get as much time on the court. But we got Jabari in there. We got Tyrese in there. Reed Shepherd's become like the new king in the fourth quarter. He heats up in a hurry and gets the crowd going. So honestly, a guy like Reed Shepherd would be where I want to go here just because he's got that crowd behind him. They're big favorites. They could be blowed out, or they could be in a blowout. And Reed Shepherd probably could be a big part of that. I could see Kevin Durant being like, if we're up 20, I'm chilling after that. Then we got the Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a game that we're running back from yesterday. They played yesterday. Somber situation in Minnesota, and Minnesota got crushed. They only had 85 points in that game. So definitely a bounce back spot here on the second half of back-to-back. Minnesota is 7.5-point favorites, so the books kind of agree with that. We'll see if Steph Curry can do it. He had 26 points in the last game, yesterday's game, against this same team. But Brandon Bajemski, Moses Moody, Draymond Green, these guys are going to need to consistently contribute. And I really like Brandon Bajemski's rebounding, his assisting, his scoring opportunities. Moody's like threes I always want to look at. They're just getting more consistent minutes, and we'll see if the sports books adjust correctly to that. But on the Minnesota side of things, Anthony Edwards had 32 points, so he pretty much the only one that showed up. Dante played pretty well too, but everyone else kind of took the night off. We'll see if these guys bounce back in a good spot against the Warriors. Again, huge favorites after losing by about 30 points yesterday to them. So that's injury news out of the way. I definitely want to figure out a better way to place that stuff because I know I'm just rambling off a bunch of things that I'm thinking through as I'm looking at the games. So maybe I start to put that at the end of the video and we get to the picks a little bit earlier because I know some people really like the injury report. Some people probably just skip it. And that would just give you guys an opportunity to see the picks first. And then if you want to stay for the breakdown at the injury report in minutes and everything like that, you'll be able to do that later on in the video. And maybe I'll even do that in this video, but we'll see what happens. But here's where I actually starting to talk about the plays here. Anthony Black is going to be the first guy I'm looking at. And I'm looking at his rebounds and assist line, which is at 8.5. I found this at minus 125 on BetMGM. That's where I'm going to take this thing. He hovers around this line even in games he's not getting there. He has some bad games here. They lost by Charlotte by a ton of points here, but he had a bounce back spot. And this was against Cleveland the other day, and they lost that game by 14 points. Now they're 5.5-point underdogs. They are on the road, but Anthony Black has played really well without a guy like Franz Wagner in the lineup. And we could see him do something like this once again today. He pretty much crept over his points line, but he hit his rebounds assist line the easiest. And that's kind of been the story here. He can have some huge scoring games, don't get me wrong, especially earlier when Franz was out. But recently he's kind of been more hit or miss. Against 16 points on 50% shooting, wasn't super involved. Played 40 minutes in that game against the Cavs that they lost to. And I don't really enjoy these back-to-back games. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this guy had a horrible game. I think it's a huge bounce-back opportunity. I wasn't super impressed with what Anthony Black did, but he still got over his rebounds and assist line. So he kind of takes on that role. Franz is a guy that definitely has a lot of usage. Paolo, we know, is a net negative player in a lot of games, but he can obviously rebound and assist as well. He's going to score. But I like Anthony Black kind of just being the focal point of this offense. Paolo's going to do his thing. He can score. He can put his head down. But I think Anthony Black is going to come in here and keep this game a little bit closer. I'm not saying Anthony Black's like their best player, but he's absolutely one of them. And especially in terms of like pure point guards, he can set up Desmond Bane. He can get other guys involved. They're big guys down low, whether it's Wendell Carter, Batatze, Mo Wagner, whichever one it's going to be. He's a guy that can absolutely chip in with some assists. He can grab some rebounds. He plays a lot of hustle ball. And again, wasn't super impressed with what I saw last game, but he still got over this line, and he's been getting over this line in 65% of games of the last 20. Without Franz Wagner, 66% of games. So I like what I see here. I think he could run it back and get around 10 rebounds and assists again. Again, minus 125 price tag. Not the worst thing in the world. Definitely a little bit of juice there. But he's got a good spot to do it. This is not a team that is a defensive beast like they were last year or a few years ago. They play with a decent amount of pace as well, so there should be a decent amount of points and rebounds to be able to go up against. And he's expected to get a whole lot of runs. So without Franz Wagner, if this game stays close, it's hard to beat a team back-to-back games, especially by more than 14, 15 points. So I think this one does stay relatively close. And if he's going to get, without Franz and he's going to get 30-plus minutes, the hit rate turns into about 75%. So I like what he's been doing on the court. I go to the rebounds and assists. Again, I'll show the points once again. It's about the same hit rate, but I think I just want to focus on Anthony Black kind of being the focal point, the distributor, the hustle guy, rather than the main scorer. And the other reason I'm not going to the points is because, they do have some big guys down low, some defensive, Jared Allen hasn't been amazing this year, but they got Matt Mobley down low. And you can just see by positions, these guards that are going against this team, not going over their lines very often. Two of the last 15 guards. Pick and roll ball handling, which I think he'll enter that spot a little bit more today. They rank number 2. So that's another reason I'm looking at his rebounds and assists. Might be harder for him to rack up a whole bunch of points. I think he can on any given night, especially if they're maybe honing in on Paolo or something like that. But I'd rather just trust the rebounds and assists than have to worry about him scoring a bunch. Going to play number 2, going to attack an under, and it's going to be on TJ McConnell under assists at minus 105. Now, this is the guy, he can get assists so fast. He had a 9-assist game in 16 minutes, which is absolutely nuts. And he does this a lot in not a lot of minutes, 17 minutes, 15 minutes. He played 28 minutes here. That's going to be an outlier. He's not going to get that much time today, especially because they might get Ben McMathurin back. They might get some other guys. They're pretty much all healthy, other than Ben McMathurin, who's been out for a while, and he might return. So I don't expect a ton of minutes from him. Neither does RotoWire. Going to the projected minutes for him, you can see he's projected for about 16 minutes. And again, I'm going to drop his minutes down to around 20 or less minutes. And he still hits this around 50% of games, which is absolutely wild. 5 assists in less than 20 minutes. Pretty crazy, especially the ones that he's getting, crazy numbers here, 8 assists in 18 minutes. But I think the Hawks are kind of figuring things out since the Trae Young trade happened. They've won 2 games in a row. Jalen Johnson's starting to play really good again. And I could see a blowout happening here. Now, even if it's not a blowout, though, I do think they're going to lose this game. And in games he's seeing 20 or less minutes, and in games they lose, that's my thought process here. That's my game plan here. Games they lose and he's playing less than 20 minutes. Now he's only over this in about 33% of games. And I don't love the offensive power against this Hawks team. They're not the best defensive team in the world. They're pretty much right in the middle of the road, 16th ranked. If you look at the last few games too, it's probably worse because they have been worse recently. I guess defensive rating, they're actually better last 10 games. But they traded away Trae Young. I guess it makes sense. But I like to see that offensively they're now starting to pick it up. And I think Atlanta, especially at home, could blow this Pacers team out of the water here. So in games they're losing, even if it's a close game, 0 to 35 points, and he's going to see less than 20 minutes. I like the chances that this goes under more than it goes over, and we're getting a pretty good value here at minus 105. So I don't think people are going to like this one. TJ McConnell's a scary guy to bet unders against because his lines, honestly, it's nice to look at his lines because they're higher than what you think. He's like, he only gets 20 minutes, but he can rack up stats really quickly. But with that said, I like the Hawks here. I like the spot that they're going to win this game. I think they can win by a decent amount, and it might be tough for the Pacers to come in here against the Hawks now that are cruising and get a whole lot of things rolling. TJ McConnell, he could absolutely burn me, but I like the chances of him going under a lot more than him going over here, and that's what we're going to roll with. He's played these guys, I assume, this year. I actually didn't look at this yet. Head-to-head? No, he hasn't. That's interesting. Pacers versus Hawks. I guess it's their first matchup, or the first time TJ's played. But they should be healthy. I'm liking the under. Going to play number 3, it's going to be an under on Anthony Simons, 14.5 points. I mentioned this in the injury and breakdown of who's playing and everything like that. I think the Celtics are in a bounce-back spot here to win this game by a whole bunch because the Blazers are dealing with injuries, but also because the Celtics had a back-to-back double overtime win against the Nets. They come in and lose, almost a scheduled loss there against the Chicago Bulls. And now I think it's bounce-back time, especially because they're home. And they're against the Blazers. They're playing a couple guys they've had before, Drew Holiday, potentially Robert Williams in this one too. And we might also not see Denny Avdia, which could help a blowout situation. But Anthony Simons getting around the same time most games unless he shoots a ridiculous percentage, right around that 24 to 28 minute mark. We can go to RotoWire and see what they're projecting him to get. Right now projected for 25 minutes. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about in this one. I don't think he's going to get a ton of time on the court here. Even if it's a blowout, I don't think he goes out there and gets a ton of time. He pretty much shoots his way into more time, but I don't like this matchup for him. You can see it's a good pick-and-roll ball handling matchup. Yes, he can do some damage there, but I think if it's a good pick-and-roll ball handling matchup, you're going to get guys like Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard attacking that a whole lot, and they might be cooking that aspect. And then in turn of that, this is a bad, actually a good three-point defense, really good above-the-break three-point defense. And I think if all these other guys are attacking the pick and roll ball handling, I think Anthony Simons would be the guy that's kind of in those spot up, catch and shoot, above the break pull up situations. And the above the break 3, matchup here is not great. So we can take a look at his filters, and if it's going to be a good pick and roll ball handling defense, a favorable pick and roll ball handling defense, this is what the hit rate looks like. So and again, that's what we got today, a good pick and roll ball handling defense. And a lot of these games, he's not even coming close to this. Sure, he can get there. He's a good scorer. If he's knocking down shots early, he can absolutely do it, but only over in 31% of those games. If you look at games against a challenging above-the-break 3 defense, he's only over this in 43% of those games. So now we kind of get the combo here, a favorable one for the pick and roll, a difficult one for the above-the-break 3s, and he's only over this again in about 41% of those games. So I like the recipe here. I think there's a potential for a blowout here, which could help the under and help his minutes be a little bit less, but again, if he's not going to get more than 30 minutes, if he's in this difficult, or if he's in this favorable pick and roll ball handling matchup, I like the chances here. Again, only over in 33% of games. So pretty much more avenues for him to get to the under than the over. I think other guys will be able to take advantage of this pick and roll ball handling matchup, this isolation matchup, getting the free throw line. And I think Simons would be that guy that's in the catch and shoot, in the attacking above the break 3s, or in the corners where there might be. And that's where the Blazers are a little bit better. So Simons, I like the guy, but 14.5 points. just seems a little bit too high, and I'll take my chances on the under. So that's what I got for today. Again, reminder, sign up to Pikkit using my code RichPicks. You get $3 or $100, and you also get an entry into my giveaway, the $100 giveaway that will be announced tomorrow. So once you sign up for Pikkit using my code and sync your first sportsbook, go into the comment section and just comment your Pikkit username so I can get you in on that action. Again, winner will be announced in tomorrow's video. Yeah, let's go into the recap. Only 3 video picks today. It's been a weird stretch with the postponements and the snow and the Minnesota thing. So yesterday, we had some good reads. They just didn't go our way. But after a losing day, I'll just go with the 3 plays that I really like and have kind of zoned in on. So this is what we got. Anthony Black over his rebounds and assists. TJ McConnell under his 4.5 assists. And then Anthony Simons under his 14.5 points. 1 unit plays in all of them. So I got 3 units down on the slate. So that will do it for me. Again, last chance to sign up for Pikkit. It's a free bet tracker. You guys want to use it anyway, but it'll get you into that $100 giveaway. Check out Props Madness. That was a tool I was using all throughout the video. 25% off your first month if you want to check that out. And then check out my Discord community as well if you want access to all of my plays, which I'll be sending out all throughout the day because we got some earlier games to look at today. So thank you guys for watching. I am still trying to figure out how I want these videos to go in terms of the injury news, where I should put that. But don't, if you see it at the end of the video, even in today's video or in the next few videos, I want to hear your thoughts so I can make the videos, the best for you guys to be able to enjoy and watch. But I'll see you guys next one. Good luck with all your plays. Peace out.